Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to take the derivative of tangent of x. And so when I do that, I do d dx. Remember that tells me when I use this notation that I'm taking the derivative with respect to x. So this is a verb, all right? And we're going to do tangent of x. Now, what we already know is a couple of rules for sine and cosine, right? Okay, and in that we know that the derivative of sine of x is cosine of x, and the derivative of cosine of x is equal to negative sine x. So if I'm doing this problem, what I want to do is I want to write tangent in terms of sine and cosine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show this as we're going to do d dx of sine of x over cosine of x. All right. And so with that, when I want to do this derivative, I can then use the quotient rule. All right. And so how I do the quotient rule is I do low d high, so low times the derivative of the high, so low d high minus high d low over low. All right, so I have my high function is my sine function, my low function is cosine. So what I'd want to do, if I'm taking the derivative of this, that's going to give me low, which is cosine of x, times the derivative of the high. So the derivative of sine was cosine of x, minus the high, which was sine of x, times the derivative of the low, which was negative sine of x. Okay, running out of little room, so let me make some more. Over the low. So the bottom function squared. So I'm going to do cosine squared x. Okay. Now what you have to do is you got to simplify and do some algebra amongst your trig functions. So if I've got cosine times cosine, that's going to be cosine squared x. Okay. If I have negative sine x times negative sine x, negative times a negative gives me a positive, so I got plus. Sine x times sine x is going to give me sine squared x, and this is going to be all over cosine squared x. Okay, and then cosine squared plus cosine, or cosine squared x plus sine squared x is actually 1. That's one of your trig identities. So you've got 1 over cosine squared x. Now, this 1 over cosine, remember, is the same thing as secant. All right, so 1 over cosine squared x is really the same thing as secant squared of x. All right, and I have simplified this down. So as a result, if I take, d dx of tangent of x, then that's simply going to give me secant squared x. All right, and that's how you would show that. All right, so kind of recap. Got to know the derivatives of your sine and cosine functions. You have to also be able to manipulate and work with your trig, and do some algebra within your trig functions. So, yeah, that's all I got. Thanks. Bye.